All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
You've reached the internet's home for all things masonry. Join On the Level podcast as we plumb the depths of our ancient craft and try to unlock the mysteries, dispel the fallacies, and utilize the teachings of Freemasonry to unlock the greatness within each of us. I have you now. Okay, welcome back to On the Level podcast. Hope you're enjoying our new intro as much as I am. Probably not. We have with us for this episode, Worshipful, and if I get this wrong, you correct me, brother. Worshipful Duane Marshall, who is the owner and proprietor of the Facebook group you may have seen. Is it a page or a group? I don't know. We'll find out. Called the Past Masters Thoughts. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Excellent. So you're probably most well known outside of your local area for the Past Masters Facebook. Is that a page or is that a group?
No, it's just a page.
Just a page. Okay.
Yeah, just a page.
So, if you wouldn't mind, this podcast broadcasts all over the world, so a lot of people aren't going to know who you are. If you wouldn't mind just giving us a quick rundown of your Masonic background.
I'm a past master of Active Lodge 158 out of Atchison, Kansas. Current member of Overland Park, where I was raised in 2011. That's Overland Park 436. Currently getting ready for my third term as a district deputy in the Grand Jurisdiction of Kansas. I'm the associate patron with my Eastern Star chapter in Lenexa. Just found out yesterday I'm the director of Masonic Relations for Kansas DMLA and a member of the. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's nice to find that out online. It's great. And a member of the Free Runners Masonic Order.
Free Runners Masonic Order?
It's a motorcycle group, and it's a worldwide organization.
Oh, okay. Similar to the Widow Sons.
Similar to the Widow Sons.
Okay. And third time district deputy. To me, that sounds strange. In the jurisdiction of Florida, I don't know that they recycle district deputies very often. Is that something that is common in your jurisdiction?
We do have it in our jurisdiction where guys will serve more than one term. They like it when brothers will serve two. A lot of times it's one. I really enjoy it. You get to go out and visit the other lodges and work with the brothers, and I love sitting in the lodges and seeing what they do. So it's really a good thing for me.
And now the reason I know you is because I'm actually very active on Facebook. You're very active on Facebook, and you created this Past Masters Thoughts page. And you share your thoughts about the fraternity. Tell me a little bit about how that started or why that started, if you would.
Well, oh, absolutely. I was elected as master of my lodge in Atchison, and realized, and I can get in later how I ended up in Atchison. But they elected me as master, and I realized that there were a lot of chairs that I hadn't sat in, a lot of knowledge that I didn't have as I progressed, and had questions, not just questions about the fraternity, questions about life in general and how Masonry impacts us and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And
I decided that if I have those questions, so do other people. So let's start a page. and let's just ask them. The entire focus and the only reason for that page is just to get people to think and converse. We have a number of podcasts, yourself, Whence Came You, Winding Stairs, Roundtable, Historical Life, any number of them
Yep.
that touch on history and the esoteric side. And
Yep.
okay, let's discuss day to day. How does this impact you? And there'll be times that brothers ask how I come up with things. I have brothers send different thoughts and say, hey, this would go great on your page. What do you think about this? None of those articles really come to mind until I'm sitting on my front porch with 3 fingers of libation and a stick, and I just start writing. It's all spur of the moment stuff.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have like a long process where you're self-editing stuff and coming back to it the next day. You just kind of go for it and post it.
A lot of those are written on my cell phone, which would explain the number of typos that brothers see when they read those.
I've never published anything that wasn't replete with typos.
Oh man, I'm telling you, my wife will get a hold of me when I'm done and says, you might want to jump on the laptop and edit that because that was a mess.
Yeah.
But that's how that all happens. It's all just spur of the moment, what happens right then, kind of like a daily meditation.
Yeah. So pretty much the things you're writing about are things going on in your life.
A lot of
Masonic life.
Well, and personal. A lot of it. There are some topics that I might need to back up on a little bit. I went back and read some of them, and over the last week or so, religion has kind of been a forefront. So,
like that's a touchy topic. You feel like people don't want to really go down that rabbit hole?
You know, and I was thinking about that earlier. And you post something about religion, and I come from a very eclectic background, and I tend to make a lot of jokes about it and that sort of thing. I was born in the 70s and really grew up in the 80s when, and I mean, no offense to anybody if this is whatever, but in a time when Jesus wasn't the Son of God, it was Jimmy Swaggart.
Yeah.
And
the mega churches,
in the mega church thing. And,
yeah.
And I grew up in a very evangelical background, and I tease that, the difference between the church that I was raised in and Appalachian snake handlers was we didn't handle snakes. And brothers look at me and they go, "You're not laughing." And I'm like, "It's because I'm not kidding." But I came from that, and I studied in some conservative churches and some liberal ideas, and was initiated into a neo-pagan group involved with Wicca, and that's so a very eclectic thing. And I understand that within Lodge, we say that we don't discuss religion and politics as a gentlemanly thing, but there are times and really calling out the craft. And again, I was talking with you earlier about listening to some of the past episodes that folks get upset. I have to ask, are we really mature enough to have those conversations without someone getting upset?
I think that in a format like we're having right now, one man to one man, it's a lot easier to have those conversations.
Sure.
When you're on the internet, like Facebook, for example, it gets really difficult to have those conversations for a variety of reasons, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I could see that I could see you having a tough time with like a Facebook page and the comments and the conversation. Oh, we have a mystery guest who just joined us. This is the man that introduced me to you. His name is Brother Sean Cooney, who's the current junior warden of the mighty Sarasota Lodge 147. Welcome to On the Level podcast, Shawn.
My brother. Would you look at that?
The man's getting cheered. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, of course.
I told Shawn we were recording in 5, and he thought I said at 5, so that's my fault. I got fat fingers when I text. I can't do it properly.
How we doing, Right Worshipful?
Not bad. How you doing, Shawn?
Not so bad. Good to hear you again.
Good to hear and see you.
We were we covered his Masonic history, and we were just talking about kind of what he does on Facebook, and kind of got into a conversation about one of the only things he has to check himself with is conversations about religion. And so we were talking about how, like this format, now we have 3 guys. Even this kind of a situation is a hell of a lot easier than going on Facebook and try to talk online about religion. That's a whole nother world of hurt that you're opening up, because people act different when they're not in front of your face.
Oh, most
First
certainly.
of all, and second of all, you get a lot of people that you didn't even want in the conversation to chime in.
And people are easily offended about their beliefs too, And I think that's one of the most important things about Freemasonry. One of the things that I value so much about Freemasonry is that it doesn't matter what religion you choose, you know what I mean? We're still brothers, you know what I mean? And we all believe in the thing that's right. And we believe in, all of these good books. They all have such great, beautiful things in them, and if you live your life by those books, I mean, most likely you're doing all right,
Yeah. I mean, it's something that we have, if you've ever listened to the podcast over the last several years, it's an issue that comes up all the time. And, my personal belief as a Mason who's been active in Masonry and had a lot of experience in it is the intention is to keep the lodge business and state of communications clean and pure. We act very different in a stated or call communication than we do in the dining hall. And we act different there than we do at the fire pit around my house, drinking bourbon and having cigars, right? There's like levels to this stuff. And what we do in a business meeting or call communication is absolutely off limits in my mind, and rightfully so, to discussions about religion and politics for the purposes of debate. I think in education that involves a religion, no one's complaining about that in Lodge. I've seen it many times. However, the conversations that we might be having like right now are going to be a whole nother thing. And I don't think that there's ever been an intention to prohibit Masons from talking about religion or politics as people, right? This is really just limited to the stated and called communications in the Lodge.
Agreed.
So
I would agree with that to a point.
No, you have to wholeheartedly agree to it. Damn it!
Oh well, no, I've walked into a meeting, and a brother made the comment that if you're not of this faith or this flavor of faith, then you can't be a Mason. And I'm like, then it's time for me to walk down the street because I don't meet that. One of the most beautiful things, and it's actually part of what drew me to Masonry in the first place, because I was seeing a lot of different organizations and a lot of different groups that claimed the very thing that Masonry professes, right? We love everybody. We're on the level. We're this, we're right. That. And in the 11, 12 years that I've been a Mason, this is, in all honesty, one of the only places that I've ever really found it.
Yeah.
And wholeheartedly believe in it. I'm very passionate about it. That's why I write about it a lot.
And you have a perspective that is in the minority in the fraternity, okay? And being in the minority, I was talking to somebody about this, a friend of mine, a business associate, and he was talking about protesters and how horrible protesting was. And I was trying to explain to him that when you're in the minority, you have to try to make yourself heard a lot harder. And so that's why you're seeing protests from any minority group, or that's why they're talking about something that involves them specifically, because they have to raise awareness to the issues they're dealing with so the majority can have an ear towards their issue and maybe start to change their thinking about that issue. If they don't talk about it, it's never going to change. So conversation has to happen. Clearly, the brother you're talking about doesn't, okay, for those that aren't Masons and for those that are longtime Masons, the guy you just described is not knowledgeable about Masonry. We can all agree on that, right?
Mm.
He had no business saying that if you're not a specific religion, you shouldn't join, because that is not part of the tenets of our fraternity. It's quite the opposite of the tenets of our fraternity.
Yeah, it's freedom of religion. That's why we have that as a right in our Constitution, and it's very prevalent in Freemasonry, and it should be. That's why we can put different books on our altars, whenever you want to take your obligation. You just have to believe in that higher power, and you have to have some kind of faith so we can tie you up.
Oh, yeah, most certainly. And one of the things that I really enjoy, and I've sat in lodge with Muslim brothers. One of my really good friends is a Jewish brother. They have so much to teach me to step outside of my comfort zone. And what really makes that individual tick. And I talk pretty regular about, and I was chaplain of my lodge at one point, and I would always end my closing prayer with, please allow us to take the light of Masonry into a darkened world. I truly believe and absolutely believe that it's the one thing that will save it.
Yeah.
And if you don't take Masonry out of the lodge room, Masonry will die. And that's just it.
So
I want to go and visit different. And while we're still on the spirituality side of things, but visit a Muslim mosque, a Sikh temple, a Hindu. What makes the people in my community tick? And it's really your heart and your faith. And so, how can I better take Masonry into the outside world in a way that you'll understand and you'll relate and be on the level, not just with my brothers in the lodge, but with everyone I come in contact with?
Well, I've said this many times on the podcast that, and that I think about things weirdly, I know, but I really see the lodge and the way that they're telling us to behave as training wheels for the real world. It's like training wheels. It's like gives you support, structure. Look, you're doing it. You're walking the straight line now. You're riding that bike, and then when you go out in the world, you got to take the training wheels off, man. You got to be that way now in the street, the same way you are in the lodge. I've met men that have been elevated to positions of great power that act one way in the lodge and are completely different outside the lodge. You would think they're two different people. And they are two different people. You're getting two different versions of that person. That isn't Masonry. Masonry is to be that way all the time. So you'd hope that brother's working on that and trying to do that. But that's the goal for all of us as Masons, is to try to bring the light of Freemasonry into the world. And it has to be part of who you are if you're going to do that. It can't be something you play at twice a month.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And the tolerance for religion is definitely part of that. And I say tolerance because you can't expect, it's like my wife's father's from another country. He's from a different era, and trying to get him to understand what non-binary trans cisgender is never going to happen. I got to get him to understand that there are gay people in the world. Like you have to take steps. You can't go from A to Z. You've got to go through the process of learning and educating yourself, right? And Masonry really helps you take those steps of learning about yourself, your biases, the things that you do that hurt people, and internalizing it and learning how to change those behaviors to be the most positive contributing member of any relationship you're in, whether it's your work, family, right? Your church, whatever the situation is, to be a positive contributing factor to that community. That's Freemasonry.
And that's absolutely true. And because Masonry, we say it's a fraternity, it's a philosophy, it's all these things, but you're absolutely right. It is a relationship, not just with your brothers in lodge, with the people in your community, but it's a relationship with yourself, and you're really learning who you are. Man, it was a lodge, Massachusetts, I believe, that did the Ben Franklin videos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about the measure of a man, and Masonry measuring who you are. It's discovering yourself and discovering you.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the thing about it's like if you are if you're only subjected to the same thing over and over again, you never grow. There's no opportunity for growth there. Like you said, you want to visit a Muslim mosque, you want to visit a Sikh temple not because you want to convert your faith, right? It's because you want to understand people better.
Absolutely.
Why are they thinking the way they think? Where are they coming from? What are their hopes and dreams and fears? And you get that from looking at their faith. You can understand a person better. It doesn't mean that you're going to try to convert yourself just to look at a thing. It's like sports. If you're on a sports team and you only practice with your teammates and never play another team, how good is that team going to be in a playoff where they finally play another team that's been playing other teams all season? That's not going to go so well for that team. Like you have to test yourself. You have to test your beliefs and be open to having conversations with people about things that you don't understand. And
you find that most of them, there's so many similar points of view, just told in a different story, but they all are saying the same basic principles.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's so much beautiful symbolism and just like in Freemasonry, how we have all of these symbols and illustrations, they're just all of these beautiful lessons that are just taught in a different way. You know what I mean?
The difference
people want to argue about it and then kill each other over it,
For us, like Mackey, I think, wrote it. He said, Masons, we understand alliteration and we understand allegory and taking moral lessons from things. And to a Mason, you don't care if that's Christianity or Egyptian mythology or chivalric, stories from Middle Ages. The point is you're looking for the moral lesson to take from it and try to learn from it. And the second you, as a Mason, start trying to prove that Hiram Abiff was a real man and when he lived and what he ate for lunch, you're losing the point of it all. You look crazy.
Right.
And like you said, you don't have to shift your beliefs. Like no one's asking anyone to change their beliefs at all. Like I want everybody to believe hard in what they believe in. I think that's good. I really do. Yeah. And if you are a super religious person, whatever that may be, I think that could be really good for you. It's just to be open and to be able to pick apart those things and find those beautiful aspects and lessons and whether it's Egyptian or what, to be able to find those pretty lessons and apply them to your life, I think is really valuable. And that's what we do in Masonry all the time.
Pretty much, yeah. And so what, if you don't mind me asking, Duane, it sounds like you're in a minority religion. What religion would you prescribe to these days? If you're willing to share.
No. Absolutely. And like I said, I've looked at another or at a number of different faiths. I found that I'm not, and much like Shawn was saying, I'm not really a fan or subscribe necessarily to an organized religion.
Right.
But try and see the spirituality in all of them.
Right.
I think that there's, if I was to practice daily spiritual ritual, it's probably more Wiccan, and earth-based flavor, than anything else.
That's a really hard one to knock, When you have a religion that worships like the sun, it's hard to discount that the sun's real and exists and is worthy of worship. Like that's a tough one to really kind of knock,
Oh,
isn't it?
most certainly it is. And it's really interesting with the 7 liberal arts and sciences,
Yeah.
how that tends to tie in a bit.
Yeah. You know, I had a candidate that I brought into the fraternity, and he went through his first degree. He's a pagan. And so I was excited because they do a lot of ritual and stuff, and he is spiritual. So he met all the requirements to be a Mason. And he got his entered apprentice degree, and he called me that night, and he said, "What the hell was that? All I saw was Christian this, Christian that, Christian everything." And I'm like, "Listen, man, open your eyes, think deeper, okay? Look at the symbol that they explained to you in the entered apprentice degree, the circle with the lines, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Take away the images on the surface, and what you're seeing are ancient Hermetic principles."
Yes.
Right?
Well,
This is your belief system, and it is their belief system. It's all in there. It's not like one thing is wrong and the other one's right. It's just flavors, like you said, labels.
And I imagine it'd be kind of hard to be open, and it shouldn't be, in Masonry. We should just be open. But I imagine there's a lot of pushback from people that don't necessarily understand what that is, you know what I mean, to be a pagan or to a Wiccan or anything like that, because what they believe is against that, you know what I mean. But it also says in the same books that you shouldn't judge that other person, and you should do nothing but love that other person. So you know, I think that that's what our duty should be, is to love your neighbor as yourself. That's a Christian one, right? You know what I'm saying? But it's a good one. It's a good one.
It is.
Don't kill. That's another Christian one. I think we can all agree it's probably a good one.
You needed that one is amazing to me.
Well, you know what I'm saying? We just got to be careful not to judge each other, for what we believe in, and judge the man by his character. You know what I mean? Not his beliefs.
Right. That's worthy of judgment. The way a person acts is worthy of judgment.
It was really funny when I did my first degree a number of years ago. I went through and did the first section, and I'm going back out of the lodge room, and I'm chuckling and laughing a little bit, and one of the guys looks at me and he goes, I don't understand what's funny. I don't understand. I just looked at him and he goes, "Wait a minute." And I tell him, I'm going, "That isn't new. I've done that." And he looked at me and he goes, "Wait a minute, you're Wiccan, aren't you?" And I go, "Uh-huh, yeah, I am. That's not new." But
I have a couple Wiccan friends in the fraternity. Like between 2 lodges, I have 3 friends that are Wiccans. I
got a bunch of Buddhist friends and Hindu friends.
Yeah, Buddhist.
And then there's a lot of majority is mostly Christian, but then you have you have plenty of the Jewish faith as well. Like we had one of the members of our lodge straight up convert to Judaism, which was pretty cool and interesting. I say live and let live. It really irritates me. I'm not gonna lie. It irritates me a little bit when people are pushing on each other to believe something that, what I mean? Because in all reality, we're just on this planet traveling to our deaths, and nobody for certain knows anything. And I know a lot of people that'll rub people the wrong way too, because if you believe hard enough, you consider it to be a fact. But there's nothing that is there's no certainty in life, and certainty is madness. If you are so certain about anything at all, you're a madman. You have to be, because nobody really knows these things until you're there. You can believe, but nobody really knows. So try not to suck. Live life and try not to suck.
Try not to suck. That's awesome. But and you're right. And if you're so certain, you're so closed in that you don't open to new thoughts and new ideas. And we're supposed to be free thinkers and open to that. I mean, everyone has something to teach through life experiences. So.
Well, it closes you off to love, really. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's like the biggest aspect in all religion. It's such a huge part about being alive is love. And when you close yourself off to it, I don't know, it makes me sad a little, you know, because that's really what it is. It's like, no, I can't be friends with that guy because, you know what I mean? Or, you know, you're casting judgment.
He wears a different hat than I like to wear to church, so I can't be with that guy.
You know, you're just closing yourself off to love, and I think it's so important. We lose sight of that, and in the world today, is just loving each other.
Yeah, I think that is definitely 100% the Masonic. The essence of Masonry is learning how to love your fellow man, even if you don't understand him or agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
For sure,
absolutely,
very, very true.
Those are the training wheels that we get in the lodge room that we're supposed to carry out into the rest of the world. And not everybody makes it. Yeah, not everybody cares to try. And that's okay. You know, people come to Masonry for different things and they get different things out of it. I understand that. But for me personally, am all about Masonry, and I like to surround myself with the real deal. Talking about guys that are looking to take a journey in life of self-improvement and self-discovery. Those are the people I like to surround myself with as a Mason. And, you know, I think that's what I tell people. I get a lot of calls through the podcast of people complaining about their situation in their lodge, that it's not right, and the things that aren't good about the people that are in their lodges. And the counsel I give them is go to another lodge and start seeking people that are good Masons and only associate with them. And you're about to have a completely different Masonic experience than what you just have been going through for the last year, 2 years, or however long it's been. Don't try to change those people. Just go find another place where you can find people that are more like where you're at in your Masonic journey.
And I agree with you as well. As I was listening to some of the back episodes today, there was some discussion about taking a new brother and going and visiting a lodge and working with Grand Lodge. I get emails every once in a while of people interested in wanting to join the fraternity. Yeah. And I'll send those emails. We have 9 lodges within my area that's not too terribly far here in the Kansas City area. And I will send that email to each one of those lodges and then get a hold of that brother and say, let me take you and let's go visit some of these. Well, yeah, but Lodge ABC is 3 blocks from my house. Well, okay, that's great, but their focus may not be
right
what best suits you. Or, you know, you may feel more comfortable at a lodge, maybe 10 blocks down the road, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go visit those lodges and find the one that really works for you, not just, hey, there's a lodge next door.
I think that's wise. More people need to do that. And, you know, I think the fraternity in general has gotten itself into, many of the lodges have gotten themselves to places where they're desperate for membership, and they just want to get some people in the door. And the conversation about, is this the best lodge for you, isn't happening all the time, as often as it should. And sometimes there are lodges that are a better fit for certain people. I mean, I talk about that all the time. I am not a member of the lodge I started, and I found a lodge that was a better fit for me. And the lodge that I'm in now, I often refer people to the lodge I came from, because I think that lodge might be actually a better fit for them based on their situation. You got to match up the person with the lodge, because it's amazing how different the cultures are at different lodges.
Yeah, there's definitely different dynamics.
Yeah. Did I lose you, Cooney? Are you still here?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, there's definitely different dynamics and different lodges, no matter where you go.
I think you've been coming in and out, and I just noticed. Yeah. Your video's going in and out. I just noticed it.
That happens sometimes when you press the button like this. Doop, doop.
There it is.
So
Duane,
yeah, depending on where you go, I mean, it does change from lodge to lodge, even in the same district. There's different leadership and control. There's different, levels of motivation. But one thing that should all be universal is our tenets and our beliefs. We should really, be, I don't know, I want to use the word aggressive, you know what I mean, to uphold to that. You know, we should all, regardless of who's there in the dynamic, the one thing shouldn't change from lodge to lodge to lodge, and that's Freemasonry in its own.
Yeah. We all share the same tenets and beliefs in the digest of Masonic law, at least within our jurisdictions. And all of them should be living that at least. And that's one thing, like when I was the master of a lodge, if you went to my installation on day one, that was my speech. We're going to try to be good Masons. All year, I tried to be an example of a good Mason. At the end, the last thing I said was, I hope this was good for the lodge, and I hope that at the end, the best compliment you can give me or any of my officers is you are a good Mason. Like, that should be the highest honor for us, is to get that praise. Like, that means that you learned and you're trying to do better. And that shit is hard. Self-improvement is hard to do. You're talking about the reason that people cling to things and that they're so sure is because it's easy to do that. You don't have to consider other people's opinions, ideas. You don't have to question your own ideas or accepted truths. It's easy to live that way. It's much harder to open yourself to the fact that you don't know everything. And you're most likely never going to know everything. That's not an easy way to live this life.
Well, go ahead, Sean.
No, absolutely. Go ahead, brother.
Brother's great. Brother's great. It was interesting because at my installation, when I talked to the lodge, I told them that I'd only found one perfect Mason in my entire life. And all the time that I was involved and before and all that, I've only found a single perfect Mason. And I reached behind the podium and pulled up a jar and set it on the podium, and it said, perfect Mason, and it was this Mason jar. And I go, that's it. You are going to fill that with your experiences. And we end up, we took donations out of the year and whatever and filled the jar and adopted a family for Christmas that year out of what we raised out of that jar. Nice. I've asked people from time to time who the most important person was in the lodge, and it's the friend that you just placed in the northeast corner. That he's your foundation. And I would really throw it out that we never really ever leave that chair. We're always in a state of learning, in a state of discovery, and Masonry is a lifelong journey, and it takes your whole life to figure it out, really. And
absolutely,
we're learning about ourselves in the fraternity, and we never really leave that spot.
I always say, like, I don't know why they gave me so many working tools. I'm still just working on my first one they gave me. You know what I mean? Like, constantly working that common gavel out. You can never.
That's going to be for sure a lifelong
struggle. Oh, have you ever talked about that thing? Our brother Cliff Bernetti brought this up when he was doing an education, I believe. But a perfect stone is not smooth and shiny. If it was completely smooth and completely perfect, it wouldn't hold mortar. It would just slide off. There would be no adherence. So it takes those extra pits in there and a little bit of imperfection in order for it to be fit for a builder to use it. You know what I mean? I thought that was a cool thing they said.
That is. I like that. Right? And it's like, it's true. And we did an episode about this. I like to surround myself, I said, with good Masons, but also broken people, because they understand the value of everything in life. They understand the value of love. They understand the value of like being respected, and they aren't going to take those things for granted. And so, someone that's come out of some crap in their background and dealt with some really bad shit in their life is somebody that's usually really interesting, first of all, but not boring people. And they don't take anything, especially your relationship, for granted. So I love being around people like that, because I'm a person like that, I guess.
Lord knows I am. Like when I first joined, I was like, y'all really gonna let me do, like, I'm a hoodlum,
You
right?
guys are gonna let me do it? Okay.
Well, and it's those imperfections that, like you were saying, that make us unique.
Yeah.
And give us the opportunity to show ourselves to other people, because and we're kind of dancing around the word a little bit, but it makes us vulnerable, and we have to be vulnerable to our brothers, because that makes us open and raw and honest, which, some of the stuff that that I write and I post, that's very raw. That is how I am, and being open and being honest to everybody. And those articles have gone around the world. I've had guys from England and wherever go, hey man, can I use this in Masonic education? And it's, wow, you guys are really hurting for Masonic ed, but okay, yeah, sure, feel free.
No, man, you never know what other people are going through and how much help it is for you just to say things out loud that other people are thinking and aren't saying.
Well,
I'm definitely a fanboy. I always love your posts. They always give me something to chew on. You know what I mean? There's always something there, something to think about. If nothing else, just, you know what I mean? It's like, oh man, he's at it again,
Well, and I appreciate that. And that was part of why I started writing those, because if I thought it, somebody else is thinking about it, let's discuss it. And if you disagree with me, great. I love it when people, I go up and I get the pat on the back going, good Lord, right words, man, great, that's awesome. That's wonderful. Okay, thank you. But I also love it more when, I didn't completely agree with you, and here's why.
Yeah, now you're having a conversation, which is what you
did
in the first place.
Let's be open about it.
Okay, now we talked about religion. You said I could ask you anything. Still feel good about that. I can ask you anything.
Okay, roll the dice. Let's see what you got.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, fight.
Okay, here's the deal. You are not in a traditional relationship, are you, sir?
I love you, Chris. Thank you, brother. No, I am not.
Is this something you're comfortable talking about?
Sure. We can talk about it.
Okay. So we, in my lodge in Sarasota, we have pretty much everything under the sun, I think, represented in our brothers.
Yes.
Now, the one thing we don't have, but we do actually have I know, and I'm not going to call out the lodge or the brother, but there is somebody in our district that is in a polyamorous relationship. We don't have it in my lodge. That's probably the one thing we don't have, as far as I know. But I do believe that you may be in that situation.
Yeah, I've heard rumors.
Yeah. So you got two ladies.
Yes, I do.
I need to know how that happened, please. And I would like a playbook that we can go by ourselves to make that happen in our lives.
I
got my hands full with one.
Yeah, I got my.
Actually, it was really kind of funny. I had a past Grand Master ask me the same question, and every time we talk in private, he's like, "Hey, man, how does that work?" And I'm going, "Well, it's not for everybody."
Yeah.
I met Jennifer at first off, me and my wife, my legal wife, we have been married now. Okay. 13 years. Okay. Wonderful, rock solid. Yeah. I met Jennifer actually doing some work between my motorcycle group and DMLA. Okay. There was a radio station here in Kansas City that was doing a thing for veterans, and we went and collected hygiene products, socks, that kind of stuff to take to the local VA, and I picked them up and met her where she worked. Excuse me. Met her where she worked, and you're kind of cute. That's and went on and kind of left it. And A few years later, I'd had bariatric surgery and all that. And we showed up at a DeMolay event. Me and Jennifer like to tease that we started dating over a dead brother. And it was a day of remembrance in honor of Frank Land, founder of DeMolay, who's buried here in Kansas City. So we went to the memorial service and she was there. And we started dating after that. And things just took off. Now we've been together about 3 years. Everybody's happy. Everybody's cool. The thing that really revolves around this, and by the way, I am not a preacher for polyamory. It works for some and it doesn't for others.
Right.
And it takes a lot of effort, a lot of work, and a lot of open communication, and a lot of being honest with yourself.
Yeah, I would imagine, because even with 2 people, communication is difficult. I can imagine with 3 how much more difficult it would be if you're not being open and communicating.
Oh yeah, we as a family unit have had to sit down, and we've had some very, very rough conversations, but we've grown from them. Because much like in life and Masonry, and for the love of God, I'm not really trying to tie polyamory and Masonry together, because there's some brothers now pulling their hair out, and Chris, you're going to get phone calls and all of this. But it does. It requires being open and honest, being on the level, being upright, being square. Speaking your truth of who you are and trying to understand where that other person's coming from. So, it can be incredibly interesting. I caught a lot of flack for it from some brothers in the fraternity, basically because Jennifer is a brother's daughter. There are some folks that question obligations in Kansas and whatnot over that.
But did you have a conversation with a brother?
Yes, I most certainly did. And that brother I go to his birthday and go to his house regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, and there's nothing wrong with that, because
it's, so. As long as you've spoken to the Mason and he's agreed with you that this is okay. What's the problem?
Well, and it comes down to, again, communication and respect. And if that brother, even though we're all legal adults, I mean, I'm 53 and everybody's in their 30s and all that. If he would have said, I'm really not comfortable with that.
You just skipped over something. You got 2 ladies in their 30s and you're in your 50s?
Oh, did I say that?
What? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But no, if that brother would have said, "Hey, I'm not super comfortable with that," then that would have been end of story. Okay,
right.
We're done. We'll go grab a beer and some pizza, and at the end of the day, I'm going home. So but yes, you are accurate in that, and that's not anything I've ever really been shy about. But yeah, there are some brothers that are comfortable with that and some that aren't.
Yeah. Well,
live and let live, brother.
It's not like you're not asking them to join your relationship. You're just asking them to accept you as a brother. That shouldn't be too difficult.
No, that would be a little weird. I think our Nikki, my wife, uses the term polysaturated. She goes, we're polysaturated. No more. We can't do no more.
Polysaturated sounds gross. Polyamorous sounds romantic.
Well, right.
No, but
live and let live. I can tell you what I'm not going to do, though. I'm not gonna go after that. Woo! I said, I got my hands full with one lady. No,
a lot of pressure.
You are a monster to be able to do that. Just a beastly back and take all of the burden on in the world. So, God bless you.
Oh,
not saying that women are burdens, but Lord.
Oh, I think they take care of me more often than not, and that's that's a wonderful thing. I'm very blessed.
That's awesome. That really is cool.
Yeah. I mean, never been in a polyamorous. I only learned that this was a thing a couple years ago when I met somebody that was in one, and I had to Google it because I really didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, I thought like Mormons or something. You know what I mean? Do that, right? Like
Mornings?
Mormons?
Oh,
No?
Mormons. Yeah.
I thought that's what that was.
They used to, for sure.
But if you look in history, you know what I'm saying? It was common forever.
I think
you know
Solomon had like 300 or 600 wives, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, so it's not crazy at all.
And looky there, and Solomon was credited as being the wisest man in the world. So
yes.
maybe he has more to teach us.
I don't know. You have 2. Do you think you can handle another 498?
No, I have a hard time with 2.
I got a hard time with 1. No, she's great. She's great.
Well, I believe he was also one of the richest men to ever live. So maybe you got to have a lot of money to handle that many women, you know?
Yes.
So when you post your past master's thoughts, as you alluded to earlier, you're usually sitting on your porch, having a libation, and smoking a cigar. Now, what is your favorite libation in these pictures that I see?
I am a fan of, now, if I have been a really, really good Mason, I will grab me a bottle of Belvini.
Mm-hmm.
I love my Belvini Scotch. However, I have found that, Jack Daniels or Jim Beam honey is really good. Sprinkle a little bit of sea salt in it, and that's good stuff. No, that's very good stuff. I'll also get one, and I have a cocktail smoker I'll put on top, and I'll smoke one that's really pretty decent.
Now that I would do. I would do the smoked honey, but
yeah.
Ooh,
Now I will say that my cigars, because I am a brother that supports brothers, so I smoke Masonic cigars, and there's a specific band I'm really, really, really trying to get in the Kansas City area, and have passed a few around.
what would
And
that
if we might maybe be able to,
The Three Ruffian Cigars.
The Three Ruffian Cigars. I'm
about.
going to. Matter of fact, I'm sitting at my cigar lounge right now, and I'm going to talk with them. And I gave them some, and I'm going to see what they thought and have them reach out to y'all. I've been trying to.
Well, I certainly appreciate it, brother.
That's
I certainly
cool.
appreciate it. I'll make sure we send another little care package out to you.
That would be tragic. Those might end up in another article or few.
Oh,
Well, I mean,
But,
don't threaten me with a good
no.
time, buddy.
Right
I don't
on,
know
but
if the
no,
viewers know that I'm the sales rep for Three Ruffians. So now you guys know.
and
Anybody
they are
wants some cigars, come to this guy.
they are a very good stick. They're a very good stick, and I've done my best to send some brothers your way when they ask.
Well, we certainly do appreciate it. We definitely do, and it's real cool to see that. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I'm already I'm a fanboy. I love the past master slots anyway. But every once in a while, I'll scroll and I'll see one of ours on there, and I'm like, oh, that's a Three Ruffian. Woo!
it's fun when you see it in the wild like that. It's like, what?
It is.
Oh my
It
goodness.
is really cool. It's been a fun experience, and I'm really looking forward to the future moving forward. I think we got nothing but good things coming. So, yeah,
Three
man.
Ruffian
Right on.
Cigars, in all fairness, is a sponsor of the podcast. So thank you for being on, and thank you for your contributions to keep us going.
Of course.
It
Of
does
course.
cost money to do this, and we don't make money, so sponsorship is greatly appreciated.
It is a pleasure.
But that's people don't like to mix business and Freemasonry. I've heard it. I've gotten ridiculed for being associated with it. But here's the thing. if you enjoy a thing, you kind of want to play with that thing. And this isn't I don't think this is an endeavor to become multimillionaires because of Freemasonry. I think this is a group of people that really enjoy quality stuff and want to raise money for, I think you give a percentage of all the proceeds to Masonic body, right?
Yeah, to the shrine, absolutely. Yeah, we definitely we donate a percentage. I believe it's like 10% of everything we sell goes to the Shriners International. And then also we just did a raffle for our brothers over at Liberty Lodge, and they ended up making, I believe it was $860 profit for their lodge and their benefit, which is awesome because we love Liberty. Liberty has Sarasota 147's back all the time. Every single thing that we do, they're showing out for, and we try and give them as much love in return. I mean, it's our district in general is really, really tight, and we're really, really lucky. I don't think a lot of people realize how lucky we are in our district. But
so Liberty,
we're always trying to help out. We're definitely not trying to make $1 million. This is just something that is ours, and it's Masonic, and the idea behind it too. You know, some of us are a little bit more rough around the edges, me in particular, you know, and we relate to the guys that do have a bourbon or a scotch and a cigar, and we can talk about things, and it's a little bit more comfortable for some than others, and that's just what we promote. I think, you know, definitely not trying to get rich. We show you the financial statements. We're definitely not getting rich, dude.
Money, yeah.
It's just a fun journey, and we like the camaraderie of the craft, and it's just a fun thing to do.
Speaking,
Shawn, and it's fun that you bring that up. Some of the best Masonic education that I've ever received has never been in a lodge room.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you know, you have your meeting and you have your time set aside for Masonic education, and it's great, and there's brothers there, and it's this way with other organizations that I've been a part of. The Masonic education really starts when folks go home. You close the lodge and folks are, hey, I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to whatever. And a lot of times there's been a couple lodges that I've been at during DDGM visits or just visiting in general, whatever. They'll have what they call the junior deacon hour. Well, they'll go down and they'll pour 3 fingers and have a cigar and sit down and have discussions like we're having now, where I don't want to say the gloves come off, but it's a little bit more open. It's okay. What do you want to know? Let's talk. And that's really some of the best Masonic education I've had has always been after a lodge meeting.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think that's where true Freemasonry happens. I mean, it's where we learn in the lodge and we experience in the lodge, but where true Freemasonry happens, I believe, is outside of the lodge. And our brother, John Schaefer, who's also a partner of mine for Three Ruffians, he has a monthly little game that we play, and during that time we have more deep conversations about real things, and we get into esoterics and talking about like the true thing that we're trying to do more often than not. And I probably rub some people the wrong way, but I tell a lot of the EAs when they show up, I'm saying, like, this is where it happens, you know what I mean? Like, this is where the real Masonry happens. I mean, it definitely everything that we do for a stated meeting is necessity, and it's important, and it's what makes us. But the real work happens when you leave that lodge room, Yeah. You get to hang out with your buddies and really get into stuff. And, it's not for everybody. I'm not promoting drinking and smoking either. I mean, that's not for everybody. I mean, everybody gets what they need from different places. But for me personally, more often than not, over a good bourbon and a good cigar, I've really found some introspective things to work on,
What I love about the fun part of that is you Duane, you smoke Hiram and Solomon cigars also? And,
yes.
And Hiram and Solomon are the 2 kings that are the heroes of our stories. And
yes.
you juxtapose that with the 3 ruffians now, who are the 3 bad guys in our stories that kind of embrace those superfluities and vices. So you've got this cool juxtaposition of the heroes and the bad guys who are both Masonic cigar brands. I think that's fun.
I think it is too. It's cool.
That was clever.
Most certainly.
Whoever came up with that idea.
Cleaver.
So, we're coming up on about an hour, which is what I asked you for, and I do appreciate you giving us that much time. This isn't the format. I think, Duane, you said this was the first time you've ever been on a podcast.
It is. This is a format that I'm getting comfortable with. I'm not a huge public speaker, although there's an event coming up in July that the speakers haven't been announced, but I have a feeling my name is going to show up for Masonicon, Kansas. We'll see what the Masonicon team wants to do with that, but this has been a fun experience.
How about you, Shawn? Been on a podcast before? Been on a video log, anything like that?
Huh?
Have you ever been on a podcast, Shawn?
Oh God, no, absolutely not.
This first for you too. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. But I hope to hear from Duane more often, man. He's always got like a really awesome perspective on things. You know what I mean? And I love talking to him. I really do.
Well, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll have to take like one of your more like conversation starter topics and like talk about that topic on the podcast with you. That'd be fun.
Oh, most certainly we'll do that, and I'll play around and see if I can get the camera on my laptop.
That would be nice.
For whatever reason, it's failed on me.
That'd be super cool to have like a little past master's thoughts every once in a while.
Yes. So we can live stream this. We can get people that actually comment on your page to come in live and actually engage with us while we're recording. That's the next level.
Oh, that'd be
coming out here soon. We're going to be live streaming on Facebook and YouTube while we're recording.
That's really cool.
You'll get access to the pre-edited content, which is always way more juicy than the edited stuff you see coming out. So
I hope I get to see you on what was it, July 27th?
Yeah, July 27th.
Well, we're working on a little bit of a trip. It just so happens to be July 27th, and I believe the destination is Kansas. So maybe we'll get to have a drink and a smoke in person.
Well, I'll tell you, first round's on me.
Right.
I'll hold you to it.
So, Duane, you got an opportunity to speak to the entire world, all Masons listening anywhere in the world. What would you like to leave them with on the way out? Man, I really put you on the spot there, didn't I?
Well, you did, and that's okay. If we can find a way, and I'm gonna leave this just like I do my closing prayers. Always look for a way to shine the light of Masonry into a darkened world. But remember, you're that light. It's you. You make the difference in your, not just for yourself, but for someone else.
I love it. Thank you. Now, Sean Cooney, you got a minute to think. What would you like to leave the listeners with on our way out? He wasn't thinking. He was having a snack.
Maybe a sip of a little spirit.
Okay.
I would like to encourage our brothers to keep that open mind and that open heart, and to just really lean on love and compassion, because I think it's missing in the world right now, and I think we could use more of it. And I just want to really drive that into people and have people think about that a little bit more than they do.
Tolerance and love in our hearts. And then,
peace, love, and chicken grease.
When you go out into the world, remember, you're representing the whole of Freemasonry to these people. You might be the only Mason they're ever going to meet, and you're the light in the darkness. Thank you, brothers, for being with us today, and I can't wait to do it all again. And thank you for listening to On the Level Podcast.